Welcome to Crimson Guitars, welcome to Great Guitar Giveaway, and welcome to, well, this is a little bit of a, this is an interesting one. This guitar, we unboxed this, and my initial thoughts were less negative than I thought. On camera, the finish looks a little bit plasticky. It looks a little bit like, I don't know, a cheap metallic balloon or something. Just, it's not great. In person, I really like the finish. We've got a £1,000 made in Mexico Strat. It's a Fender signature model for her. She's an R&B artist, very talented and very cool. And it turns out she's the first black female signature artist for Fender, and I'm genuinely surprised that it's taken until 2020 to get to that. This was released a few years ago. I think we were all slightly distracted by something else at that time. I'm sure there are some issues. There are some issues just initially, just looking at it from here, you can see. Funnily enough, the finish isn't one of them. We've got an aluminium, a single ply, just chunk of aluminium, anodized aluminium, so it shouldn't scratch too easily. We've got the same chrome glow finish on the headstock, which is always a look I quite like. 60s vintage C shape on the neck with a 9.5-inch radius, which also feels nice with fairly tall frets. What I don't particularly like is the inlays and the neck pocket, and there's some finishing issues, but this is a lot of guitar for the money. We got the vintage noiseless pickups as well, or noiseless vintage, whatever they call them. I'm going to do a close-up and we'll have a look at this. The fretboard is iffy, and I really want to see what's happening inside. Don't forget, this guitar could be yours. It's on greatguitargiveaway.com right now. Essentially, we are in the process of building an epic guitar museum here. In order to fund that, we need to take guitars like this and sell tickets, and profits from the prize draw go to funding the museum. We spent this morning laying out walls and rooms and figuring out it's gonna be something else. It's chrome with essentially a flip-flop blue, green, purple hint in there. They call it chrome glow, and it does look in person so cool. I'm hoping it's coming across on camera, and I really love the aluminium scratch plate. Now, we've currently got a whole tranche of guitars coming from Squier, the Squier 40th anniversary series. Yeah, we've got some over there. These will be coming up on the Great Guitar Giveaway as well. For me, a solid aluminium scratch plate feels very high-end. But the problem the Fender have got is that their high-end guitars, if they do anything that isn't traditional, i.e. plastic, for a scratch plate, then they get, you know, chopped off at the knees, because the tradition that most people don't want to see a Fender American Strat with an aluminium scratch plate or carbon fiber, or, you know, any of these fun things. So Fender then put these things on the budget guitars. Yeah, I'm not sure. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. This is looking good. We've got the you know, a nice 6-point synchronized trem. Everything is solid. It's made in Mexico. The finish is very nice, except you do have some places it's very difficult to do a metallic finish. You can see under there where it wasn't absolutely perfectly sanded down, and that's to be expected. Oh, that's sexy. I am genuinely tempted to get myself one of these, like full on tempted. Strap locks, but that's not really why I decided to film this video today. If you have a look at the neck pocket, That neck pocket is not great. We've got about a 1mm gap there. And it's just sort of all over the place. I don't like that. And also, the inlays that we've got here are faux abalone. And these plasticky abalone things always, they lack the vibrancy of the real stuff, and they tend to get lost and look yellowy. And I think that yellowy abalone in a yellow fretboard, basically they've missed a trick. The inlays 100% should just have been aluminium. It's simple. Well, I hope you agree, and if you don't, you fool. No, if you don't, let me know. The nut's a little bit sharp. It always is on these Mexican Strats, or Mexican fenders at least. The fretwork does appear to be all right, but the fretboard itself is matte. It's really strange. I don't have any lacquer build-up on the sides of the frets in this case. We've got the strangely meh inlays, but the fretboard itself is not buffed. It's matte, and I don't know if I like it or loathe it. At this point, I am going to take the strings off and see what's happening inside this scratch plate, and I want to have a proper look at that neck pocket, just to see what we got. Well, yeah, Josh will play this later for you, give you a good demo as well. Fine, I'll get on with it. We need new strings anyway. Aluminium backplate too, of course, because that's cool. I'm not so much of a fan of the neck plate, though. Yeah, that's cool. Get out of there, strings. So that's really nice and clean. This looks like they are now finishing the entire guitar and then routing after the fact. There's no overspray, there's none of that. I suspect, well, let's see what they do from the front as well. Now, in my opinion, lasering logos onto things now just feels cheap and cheerful, and it's not great. I don't know. It is £1,000 guitar or thereabouts. So relatively budget for what we're talking, but still. There's that vintage C neck, made in Mexico. It's pretty cool. That is sad. Oh, HD Impact engraved. frshop.com, engraved in the US. Okay, so that part of it was done in the US. That's fine. We have got some that doesn't look like overspray, and from the edge you can see where they've routed the neck pocket through the lacquer. It's a with cleaner, higher speed manufacturing, that is a good way to go nowadays, as long as you can hold the guitar down without damaging the finish. And then around where you've got the joint, they've gone in and they've probably by hand painted a little bit of silver so that it's not obvious that it's, well, so that it looks better, I suppose. So yeah, that's quite cool. 105. I like it. If you look at this, I shouldn't, I really shouldn't be able to pull this out. Hold on, focus, Ben. It's incredibly bad. So, yeah. Don't think that affects the sound as much as many people do think. Once you've got your full bolts in and it's holding it to the body, as long as you can get the alignment correct, which it seems to be on the guitar, at least as it is now, it's fine. It is, however, indicative of a lack of quality control. Now, I've got a 1978 Fender Telecaster Deluxe in the museum that has potentially even a worse neck pocket, and it's one of my favorite guitars to play. I mean, it's heavy, it's from the late 70s, but yeah, it swings and roundabouts. What's your experience? Let me know. Fight me in the comments. Fight me, I tell you. It's almost dovetailing at the end. So here is 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters wider than it should be, and then it goes in, but that doesn't help because the neck is not being supported. So it's touching the edge of the neck pocket here up until the penultimate fret, and then it just goes whoop, sideways. Look at that, no shielding, which is fantastic. The wiring looks to be very well done. The components are fine. They've laser ablated underneath each one of these components. I wonder why they did that. They've essentially made it a bit matte underneath each one of those components there. That's interesting. Let me know what you think of that. Why you think they did that. Again, this was a fully finished body that then went through the routing process. And the routing for the pickups and the wiring bath, etc., is incredibly clean. And you've got this abortion of a neck pocket. I just don't understand it. There's a lot of crap in there as well. But yeah, what can you do? That's what they used, or one of the things they used, that and I suppose a hole in here to locate the guitar on the CNCs. Anyway, on we go. All right, that's got a tiny bit of back bow, which it doesn't surprise me actually. It's not under tension. It's been fairly well set up. Not perfect, there's a little bit of fall away and a few gaps under there as well. So the neck wasn't straight to begin with. That's about as close as we can get it. So I've got a gap at the 3rd fret and we're pretty much flat there apart from some fall away just at the end. But the frets, oh, there's some rock there. Yeah, it's going to need a little level crown and polish. Off camera, we're not going to. Josh can do that, and we'll see.
Hooray!
We'll see. I'm not sure. I've got about 27 minutes before I've got to film something else, so I'll start the process and we'll go from there. But in reality, any guitar, most guitars under £1,000 and many more than that, might not need a level crown and polish, but will have rocking frets. So my thoughts on this are changing the more guitars I play. You probably wouldn't notice as a player that some of those frets aren't absolutely perfect. It might just be overkill to do the level crown and polish. But this is something that we are going to be sending out to. One of you fantastic people is going to win this instrument, so it'll be as good as it possibly can be. Onwards.
Have a civic Telecaster. Don't buy it. Let's say.
So those frets are high, those two are low. We just need to get rid of all the pen. But you knew that already. Enough of the level crown and polish, Ben. Stop filming this crap.
So I've just had this Fender Her handed over to me by Ben. And I'm just going to do a bit of work on it. Just going to polish the frets, reassemble it, set it up, put it back together, do a bit of a demo. And this is something that we're trialing out here. It's basically a fret file base with a leather kind of strop on it. We might be changing that to something a bit softer. But then what I'm doing is I'm taping my wet and dry sandpaper to it and using it to polish the frets. And I've got to say that so far it's an absolute game changer. Polishing the frets always really, really hurt my hand. But this thing is an absolute game changer. So hopefully we'll be making these and selling them soon. And if we do, I urge you to get one because it's, can I say game changer again? It's a game changer. Always safety goggles.
Around drinking. Nice. Did you have a good birthday? Oh yeah. You feel older?
Lovely.
I feel.
I don't know if Ben already talked about this, but I just found something really weird and kind of gross, but kind of cool. So there's blood on this guitar. Look. That's definitely blood. And what's weird, obviously this is the Fender Her. It says Her on the heel. You see that? And then there's a little arrow pointing to the blood. What the hell's that about? So, I don't know, man. Something quite cool about that, but also a bit weird and gross. I've got the best results off of that kind of strop that I showed you earlier. And it took me less time. So I think from now on, you'll see me using that pretty much all the time. Anyway, that's done. These frets have gone from rubbish to brilliant. So let's put it back together. God, that is a floppy pocket, isn't it? I've got a Leatherman. I've got a Leatherman. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, the tidiest trem cavity I've ever seen in my whole life.